Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And with that being said, let's just dive in and let's start off with this tweet here from ISO 20022. Let's do it. And we do see BIS June 2023. ISO 20022 can be used for digital asset transactions. One of the biggest things that I have talked about with ISO 20022 is not price demand, meaning, oh, well, with this new standard, does that mean that XRP and XLM and XDC and all these ISO tokens are going to pump massive? No. What this does is opens a door of opportunity for DLT and digital assets to be utilized for instant settlement. This is from the central bank of central banks. Interoperability can be achieved in various ways and by various means, such as by standardizing messages, with several financial institutions working closely with SWIFT to replace its MT messaging standard with ISO 20022, facilitating real-time cross-border payment settlement. What do you see down over on the left there, highlighted in yellow? ISO 20022 can be adopted as a standardized messaging protocols for digital asset transactions. Like I've said, it makes a lot of sense to replace SWIFT. We know that SWIFT is a dying technology network. We know that SWIFT for the longest time has failed miserably. But now we have the perfect storm with all of these nations pushing back against SWIFT. The US has utilized the SWIFT network as a financial weapon for far too long. And now, more than ever before, we are seeing a much larger need for a new global financial network. Now, also with this, we've seen the Fed fully confirm that DLT is the future, especially around payments, clearing, you name it. Over here from December 2016, Finance and Economics Discussion Series, DLT in payments, clearing, and settlement. This was 2016, mind you. Okay, we're going to talk about why this is important to mention today. What do you see? Digital innovations in finance, loosely known as fintech, have garnered a great deal of attention across the financial industry. DLT is one such innovation that has been cited as a means of transforming payment, clearing, and settlement processes, including how funds are transferred and how securities, commodities, and derivatives are cleared and settled. Think about that. The DTCC settles $2.4 quadrillion per year in securities transactions, and derivatives are a $600 trillion notional value asset class in itself. An important goal of this paper is to examine how this technology might be used in the area of payments, clearing, and settlement, and to identify both the opportunities and challenges facing its practical implementation and possible long-term adoption. So let's take a step back and realize the fact that they were addressing DLT and experimenting with DLT back in 2016. Do you honestly think that they just completely forgot about this? Absolutely not. They even said that DLT has the potential to provide new ways to transfer and record the ownership of digital assets immutably and securely store information, provide for identity management, and other evolving operations through peer-to-peer networking, access to a distributed but common ledger among participants, and cryptography. Potential use cases in payments, clearing, and settlement include cross-border payments and the post-trade clearing and settlement of securities. These use cases could address operational and financial frictions around existing services. Now, we go over here to February 3rd, 2022, a whole year ago, using DLT for payment directories. Again, this is an updated view at, again, DLTs and this entire sector. The use of widely accessible and comprehensive payment directories can enable a safer, more efficient, and more accessible payment system. Again, all of this is targeting DLT and how it can change the entire landscape around payments and payment technology, specifically in both P2P and B2B. They are highly fragmented and not interoperable. How can we solve for this? Well, they bring in the new technology class. They have already been preparing for this. They've already, I want you guys to understand, this is all getting prepared. With the FedNow service launching, which we will address here in a second as well, I do think that is another door that opens for DLT to be implemented within the global financial system. Here you are seeing them talking about NFTs, tokenization of specific financial tools. This is a big deal. And we have the conclusion down at the end. DLT allows for a rethinking of how information is kept, shared, and managed. Despite the potential power of this technology, it has not been widely adopted in the financial sector or elsewhere yet, of course. This is in part because DLT was built for a specific purpose for which there may not be many practical use cases. I completely disagree. And where some deployments exist, the arrangements require tremendous resources to maintain. The payment directory and registry landscapes, however, offer areas for potential exploration because decentralized management and use of high perceived value data assets to support a common directory may be useful and indeed may increase efficiency of the ecosystem. The information exchanges associated with a payment alias directory or a business registry could capitalize on DLT's capabilities to promote secure, efficient exchanges of information that result in a higher level of data integrity. So again, this was their overall view from February of last year, 2022. And then here we have August 9th of this year. Federal Reserve creates program for banks engaging in crypto, DLT. Now, within this, we do see yesterday the US Federal Reserve published 2 notes relating to banks engaging in novel technologies. One covers state banks involved in stablecoins, and the other is much broader, establishing a new novel activity supervision program. 3 of the 4 areas of the new program's activities relate to crypto and DLT. One of the activity groups targets the more general use of DLT for tokenization of securities. Again, $2.4 quadrillion per year are settled through securities or other assets and deposit tokens. A second collection of activities directly relates to crypto, whether it's providing custody, crypto-backed loans, or issuing stablecoins. And the third category relates to banks like the Shuttered, Silvergate, and Signature, which had concentration risk by providing traditional banking services to crypto asset-related entities. So again, this is a big deal as we do continue to see this technology being targeted and focused on. Now, obviously, yes, they are talking about the 2 major banks that have failed. Again, I do think that we see these brought up in conversation alongside crypto to kind of, spear up this sort of idea around how, crypto is not safe. You need to stay away from it. Meanwhile, guess what? They're implementing and utilizing this technology in the back end. And I do think that as we really kind of look at the world around crypto and we look at the world around technology, we know that DLT and blockchain is a crucial piece of this new financial system. Now, also over here from Chad Steingraber, he's saying how domestic payments will use XRP. All banks will have their own tokenized dollar, right? Which I've talked about. Fed coin, JP coin, Bank of America coin. None of them will hold each other's coin. A third-party service provider will swap between them by sourcing a liquidity pool. Here you guys have coin A, XRP, coin C, ABC. Now, here is the video that got posted by BlackBerry XRP, third party like Ripple. Listen closely to this.
That is, people say, how can you trust, the Fed to do the bookkeeping? My response is, you don't expect the Fed to kind of steal your money. If the Fed can print all the money at once, it's not going to mess around with your bookkeeping. So, we have this big spreadsheet, the blockchain if you want, but it's just managed by the Fed, and it's very cheap, much cheaper than Bitcoin. If you're willing to delegate the responsibility to a third party. But then the downsides to all of that, of course, is you'd actually, suppose you didn't want the Fed to be responsible for processing the payments. I mean, suppose, the Fed will likely impose some KYC restrictions on some purchases. They might not process some purchases that you might want to undertake. And so it was at that point that I said, well, we could, if we wanted to, extend the concept one step further. I'm not saying that this is ever going to happen, but just conceptually, you could imagine not Fed wire for all, but kind of like a Fed coin, where what the Fed would do is actually just issue these, Bitcoin-like objects, but and they would enforce a par exchange rate with the U.S. dollar. That would eliminate the exchange rate volatility. But they could delegate the clearing of these payments to some third party, some sort of Ripple-like protocol, or possibly even Bitcoin. I mean, we could delegate the responsibility of processing these electronic, Fed coin payments to the miners. And the idea there would be,
And again, like, this is where I really kind of envision banking going, is where we have tokenized bank deposits and their own tokenized money, where it needs to be swapped, or if you will, bridged by some sort of liquidity pool. And this will all be through a third party. And he even says, some third party like Ripple, for an example. And I do think that this is where we are really kind of headed. And we also do see over here, service providers will level the playing field. This is again from Chad. And, we do see day 27. What we're seeing with FedNow is that, there's now a banking wide solution that all financial institutions can use regardless of size, whether they're a big bank or a credit union. And that's a big change. This is all through a level playing field. What company has been talking about a level playing field forever? Ripple. They've been pioneering this. And this is the end game scenario. Like, this is the last major step. And I also did say over on Twitter, talking a little bit about FedNow, right? Going back to July 19th, I said too many XRP holders are focused on FedNow as a price driver of XRP, but this is very similar to like ISO 2002 for an example. But this is simply not the case. FedNow is a key that unlocks a door of opportunity for the next generation of finance/payment technology to be realized in. The infrastructure is being upgraded to accommodate for this disruptive technology. FedNow is significant not because it will pump XRP, but because it allows for Ripple solutions utilizing the power of XRP to be implemented into the financial system. Stop thinking in terms of price, think in terms of innovation, adoption, and change. And I completely believe that we are getting so damn close to the end stages of implementation. It all takes regulations to be in place fully for this technology to really be realized in. And you also have to remember that Ripple has been working with the Federal Reserve, for well over, 6 years? And it might even be longer than that. Federal Reserve Task Force, Ripple improves speed and transparency of global payments. This was 2017. And even then, they were talking with the Fed about this. Set up in 2015, after the Fed recognized the need to spur improvements in payments, the task force brought together a diverse group of 320 stakeholders, including banks, regulators, end users, and technology companies, to create a roadmap for modernizing the U.S. payments infrastructure. And this gave Ripple vote of confidence for the next generation of global payments. Tweet this. Ripple played a leading role in establishing this future vision for payments. Early in the process, I was elected to serve on the steering committee to represent tech companies and provide expertise on emerging technology and blockchain. Again, like, they already knew where things were headed. They already understood Ripple and the potential behind Ripple. It's all talking about improving cross-border infrastructure. Ripple stands out for speed and transparency of payments. They continue to. So as we really kind of look at this, right, the next major steps back then was interoperability and liquidity. And they even said, Ripple plans to focus on how the use of digital assets like XRP can enable a new paradigm of liquidity and capital efficiency. This work stream provides the perfect venue to educate the market and serve as a catalyst for broader adoption of digital assets. And I do believe that we are getting there, right? This is still significant to mention. Just like the Bank of England POC, which was 6 years old, this is still significant today because we know that Ripple has been working with the Federal Reserve forever now. And now we are seeing the Federal Reserve really kind of confirming DLT and understanding the need for DLT and realizing the power of it. But also, back in 2022, we seen Project Cedar improving cross-border payments with DLT. With who? The Monetary Authority of Singapore. Let's take a step back real quick, because Ripple just recently got granted a payments license in Singapore through the Monetary Authority of Singapore. We already know that Ripple is tied back to the Federal Reserve. And here we have Project Cedar improving cross-border payments with DLT. Okay, the problem space, cross-border payments support the functioning of the global economy, enabling trade, commerce, and finance that support global value chains. Many cross-border payments are also cross-currency payments, requiring a foreign exchange trade to convert the currencies and execute settlement processes in both the originating and beneficiary jurisdictions. Cross-border payments face significantly greater challenges of high cost, low speed, limited access, and low transparency than domestic payments. They're literally talking about a need for like a centerpiece token, if you will, or currency. They're talking about a foreign exchange trade to convert the currencies and execute the settlement processes. Their solution was talking about and exploring the interlinking of distinct central bank digital, they're talking about central bank currency ledgers, not CBDCs, via hash time lock contracts. And these act as bridges between ledgers based on distinct technologies, allowing for atomic settlement of digital assets that are maintained on different ledgers and or are operated by distinct parties. All centered around atomic settlement. All for a liquid currency corridor. This is all through DLT. And it's fully focused on DLT with atomic settlement, real-time settlement, interoperability, and autonomy of this as well. Again, atomic settlement is the crucial piece of all of this, and I've said it many times in the past. Once you have atomic settlement confirmed, this is how the game over scenario begins. I keep saying that the future is extremely bright around utilizing DLT and blockchain technology, and it is. All of these documents, everything that we have seen from the Fed, from the BIS, from the IMF, the World Bank, you name it, everything is pinpointing in the right direction around a DLT blockchain and use of it around the global financial money flow. This is why I say that you are not wrong. We are all here at the best time and the right time in history. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. As up to you all, have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are on this video. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.